Mr. Speaker, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, honorable members of the legislature, distinguished guests and my fellow New Yorkers, allow me to formally welcome you again to the 76th Annual New York State YMCA Youth and Government State Conference. Over the past 6 months, with the turn of each newspaper page and with the click of the remote to our television set, we have seen headline after headline informing us of the importance of the Occupy Wall Street movement. From Oakland to Dallas, from Washington to Chicago, and even outside the walls of the chamber you and I are standing in right now, a revolution has taken place. A revolution driven by the ability to use the most powerful thing a human being possesses, their voice. This weekend, there is a new group of individuals occupying Albany, but this group does not come with an abundance of protest signs and tents. Instead, they come with an abundance of new ideas and perspectives on the pressing issues they face as New York State citizens today. This group, my fellow delegates, is you and I, because this weekend, we are occupying Albany. Contrary to what many adults believe, we, the youth of New York State, have a voice. In fact, over 55,000 teens across the country who participate in this program have a voice. It is a voice that is powerful beyond measure. And even better, we have opinions too. Together, we are able to overcome the obstacles of today's negative society and make a significant mark on the history of our state. Together, we are able to see past each other's differences and realize that there actually is a solution to every problem. Together, we are able to grasp and fully understand the concept of the 4 core values of the YMCA and how we can incorporate these in our day-to-day lives. Together, we are able to utilize our passions and join as one large extended family striving toward one common goal. Our goal is to make change, to make our own revolution. For the state leadership team, we knew that 2012 was a year for reevaluation, a year for revision, and a year for remembering the sole purpose of why 600 teenagers gather in Albany for one weekend in March every year. As a team, we strive to incorporate as many initiatives as possible that would benefit the wants and needs of the delegates in this program, rather than our own personal desires. For the first time in many years, we were able to create fairness and equal representation within the leadership development amongst 7 districts. We helped guide an advocacy component to our program that helps capitalize the concerns the people of our state deem important and integral for our legislators to hear. We have introduced a new service learning project known as Operation Gratitude that helps drive home the concept of servant leadership and the appreciation we have for those men and women fighting to keep our freedom alive each and every day. But realistically, our laundry list of accomplishments would not have been possible without you. In the beginning of 2011, New York State had seen some of its worst times. In fact, many were asking when enough is enough. The economy was hurting, our government was in turmoil, and the value systems were quickly deteriorating before our very eyes. We were divided and uncertain of how to unite with such burdens resting upon our shoulders. But as we entered 2012, we came with a different mindset and a different way of approaching these issues because we came to realize that things were looking up for New York. As a whole, the Executive Cabinet created an agenda that targeted 2 of what we felt were the most significant areas that were in dire need of reform and renovation. By doing so, we entered our 2012 state conference looking for ideas of how to create a stronger educational system for future generations, and how we can boost the economy so it can gradually grow to be the strongest in our nation. First, we began by evaluating public education. As a state, we must realize the importance of putting the students first and rising above the public education bureaucracy that has been set forth over the years. New York spends more money than any other state in the country for education, yet we are still lingering 38 for graduation rates. It simply does not make sense. So where do we start? Let's take a look at a fairly controversial topic you and I can easily recognize: teacher tenure. The tenure law has existed in New York State since 1917, but it was not until 1980 that all public school teachers and teaching assistants were under the protections. In 2010, the federal government enacted legislation to qualify New York for race to the top, but this failed and left New York in search for a more elusive teacher evaluation system. Our current system makes it extremely difficult to reward our exceptional teachers and remove the underperforming ones. The time has come for New York to set precedents and move forward to a better and brighter future for our students. If we can hold our government accountable for their actions, then why should we not hold our public school teachers accountable too? Especially after the billions of dollars we've spent trying to do so with a faulty system. With that, I strongly encourage the passage of Bill number 9 in the Senate. Not only will this bill eliminate teacher tenure, but it will also create a new evaluation system that will act as building blocks to a stronger system in years to come. In 1966, New York State approved a constitutional amendment that allowed for a government-run lottery. Originally, the proceeds were to be, quote, applied exclusively to or in aid or support of education. Although this still remains true, the breakdown in the percentage of funds allocated to each area must be revised, since the amount of money that was promised to go toward education has significantly decreased over time. Thus, I strongly urge you to pass Bill number 13 in Assembly Liberty. With this bill, we would be looking to amend Section 1612 of the New York State tax law to increase and cap the percentage of money from the New York State lottery dedicated to education. By reducing the prize money for all lottery drawings from 51% to 40%, and the administrative cost from 3% to 2%, we could easily increase education aid from 38% to 50%. This 12% increase is simple, it is effective, and it ensures that the original intentions of the lottery are upheld under every circumstance. A final bill regarding education that I ask you to support is Bill number 25 in Assembly Freedom. This bill proposes an amendment to Section 3202 of the New York State Education Law, which would eliminate the funding for charter schools across the state. Each year, portions of public school district budgets are used to fund charter schools. Although these schools are not required to follow the same stipulations as public schools, they are still funded in the same way. Does this really seem fair? In the economic crisis our state is facing, we must take every available opportunity to save money. And in this case, making charter schools self-sustaining would save New York an abundance of money. In fact, we could be saving up to over $435.5 million each year. Additionally, we must understand that if this bill is passed, charter schools will not fail to operate, seeing as though many heavily rely on a determined tuition and the support of benefactors in conjunction to the state funding. Moving on to the second point on the executive agenda, I'd like to call your attention to casino gambling. Over the years, we have gone back and forth on whether or not we should legalize this act across our state. But the fact of the matter is this: New York currently has 5 casinos on Native American reservations and 9 casinos on our racetracks. Additionally, New York has 29,000 electronic gaming machines, which total more than Atlantic City and more than any other state in the Northeast. That is why I am urging you to pass Bill number 14 in Assembly Freedom and Resolution number 20 in Assembly Liberty. Both pieces of legislation will legalize casino gambling, but in an effective way, to move our state in the right direction. Not only would we be generating excessive sums of money, but we would also be creating jobs and attracting tourism to our great state of New York. According to the Department of Labor, New York State holds an employment rate of 8%. At the end of last year, the number of unemployed New Yorkers increased by 8,700 people from November to December. One major factor in this unemployment rate is illegal immigration. Currently, there are 645,000 illegal immigrants within our state borders, and 374,000 of these immigrants are active in the workforce. This is creating fierce job competition between the illegals of our state and the struggling New York taxpayers. Thus, I strongly urge you to pass Bill number 32 in Assembly Liberty. With this piece of legislation, we will be punishing businesses who knowingly or unknowingly hire illegal immigrants. By doing so, we will deter businesses from eyeing a cheap source of labor, increase the availability of jobs for New Yorkers, and essentially aim to decrease the number of illegal immigrants within the American workforce. Finally, the last piece of legislation that coincides with the executive agenda is Bill number 11 in the Senate. In a time where many families across New York are struggling to make ends meet, it is not uncommon for minors to contribute to their family income. In the context of this bill, minors aged 16 and 17 would be allowed to work a maximum of 35 hours a week when school is in session and 54 hours a week when school is out of session. Comparing this to Article 4, Section 134 of the current New York State labor law, this would only result in a 7-hour increase when school is in session and a 6-hour increase when school is out of session. This bill by no means would interfere with the minor's education, since the proposed amendment leaves more than 4 hours per night to partake in other said activities. During chamber session today, I kindly ask that you please be mindful of these 7 bills and listen to each side of the argument before you take your own stance. 1 year ago, I stood before you at the Destin Hotel, and I posed a challenge for each and every delegate in this program. A challenge that would not be easily accepted by many young adults our age today or throughout the world. This challenge was to let your voice be heard. Again, I returned to the program for another consecutive year to pose the same challenge for you. No matter which part of the program you represent this weekend, do not be afraid to speak up. Do not be afraid to express your opinions. And do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zones. I assure you that if you use your voice, you will be successful. This weekend, as occupiers of Albany, we are here to prove that New York's next generation will be its greatest. As the Honorable Governor Andrew Cuomo said in his 2012 State of the State address, last year we learned to walk. This year we run. We have only begun to explore the capacity of our partnership and the limits of our imagination. With that being said, let's smile, let's have fun, and let's get to work. Thank you all for your ongoing attention and support. Good luck in your endeavors over this weekend, and may God bless the great state of New York. Thank you very much. Yesterday was a very important day for one of the delegates within our program. It just so happens we had a birthday yesterday for, he's actually on the executive cabinet, Mr. DeVar Jones, who is the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance. So if you could please join me in singing Happy Birthday to DeVar. You can start when you're ready. Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear DeVar. Happy birthday to you.
DeVar, could you please stand? I would now like to welcome back to the podium our Deputy Speaker of Assembly Freedom, Mr. Taylor Goodspeed, to review with you the lunch procedure and the Capitol etiquette. Thank you.